be there. So Rajiv came into my life when I came back from Czech Republic. I go back to about 10 years, 11 years back. I was staying in Czech Republic, which is where I met a lot of my mentors and loved ones. I had studied hypnotherapy there, and I came back and I was sitting with my husband in the new environment. And my husband, I looked at him and said, "Ki kab waqt milega tere saath?" And he looked at me and said, "Monday मैं busy हूँ, Tuesday busy हूँ, Wednesday busy हूँ, Thursday busy हूँ, Friday busy हूँ, Saturday busy हूँ, Sunday को हम देखते हैं." When he said that, something just happened inside me. I picked up the newspaper and there was a little ad, small ad, which said, "Rajiv Naidu taking a workshop in hypnotherapy." I circled that, called him up, and he said, "Yeah, I do hypnotherapy." I said, "Wonderful, I'm coming." And he was the first person from where I started my education back again in India. So I'm in deep gratitude to him. He was not just the beginning of my education in India, he was also the beginning of MetaHealth in India. So he actually created a space for me and said कि तू इसके ऊपर lecture दे सकती है. And he created a small group. And I still remember that small group was created in someone's house, not Rajiv's house. Rajiv was very much there. And I don't know what I spoke. In fact, I remember, I wish I had been more seasoned at that time in MetaHealth. I wasn't. And it brought up a lot for me. So I have always respected this man. He has always come in my life to start something new. आज फिर से मेरी जिंदगी में खड़े हैं. आज पता नहीं इसके बाद मैं क्या नया शुरू करने वाली हूँ. तो राजीव, आपकी presence हमेशा has created something very magnificent in my life. And I'm very, very grateful for your presence in my life. Over to you, Rajiv. Rajiv, कहाँ है? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. You're not mute. You're muted. You're muted, yeah. Rajiv.
So, yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes. And एक और हादसा आपको बता देती हूँ. एक और हादसा before Rajiv goes online. Rajiv की class में, he was doing plain hypnotherapy. And Rajiv की class में, I had already gone into a past life. I saw a past life of mine in Rajiv's workshop, and he was kind enough, because I was very stubborn, he was kind enough to actually create a room where another therapist could actually work on me. So I am in deep gratitude to this man. He is, his presence in my life has always created an urge to move again ahead in my life. So I really bow down to you, and I bow down to you being one of my beginning teachers, the first teacher in India after I came back. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Anu. Thanks a lot. That was like quite a bit, very honestly, Anu. And
ये वो अड्डा है राजीव जहाँ पे मैंने कभी थैंक यू बोला ही नहीं आपको. ये जरूरी है इस समय, क्योंकि कोरोना वायरस की वजह से पता नहीं कल कौन है कौन नहीं है. अब मैं ये नहीं कह रही कि आप नहीं हो यहाँ पे, पर मैंने कभी थैंक यू ऐसे बोला ही नहीं है. 11 साल निकल गए. बनता है मेरा आपको थैंक यू बोलना.
Thanks a lot, Anu. And I still remember the day when you had come and you had spoken about MetaHealth, and you told me, Rajiv, I want to create something. Yeah. Rest, very honestly, I don't remember that I created all that, but then I remember that day that you were standing next to me and you said, Rajiv, I want to do this. At that time, MetaHealth wasn't there in India, and you really brought it in. And after that, I have really seen you, the way you have gone about being so committed in that work in Hotel Subha International, and really creating magic over there for people. So, and every time you would be there. So I could really see your commitment. Yeah. And even now, after so many years, I can read about it. So I know you are like sticking to it like no man's business. So that's like a huge commitment. Yeah.
Thank you. I love my subject and I love what you do.
I know that. That's amazing. That's amazing. That like you're stuck onto it. Like, yeah. And thanks for this platform. And first of all, Asna, thanks a lot for creating the space for me. Yeah. So
Thank you so much, dear.
thank you. Thanks a lot.
Waiting to hear
Yeah.
you as well.
Yeah. So very honestly, this is like, by this time I'm gone off and I am almost hitting the bed. So I I don't know. I thought I shouldn't go off to sleep. So I'm just rushing now. Yep. So I'm Rajiv Naidu. I'm a homeopathic practitioner by profession. I've been practicing in this place where I'm sitting and talking to you all for last 25 years, and I've also been a Tai Chi practitioner. And somewhere when I was practicing Tai Chi, I think in the second or third day, my teacher said something to me, and that is something that really created what I'm going to talk about. And my teacher told, as he was teaching, that it's easier for people to go from the gross to the fine, but it's difficult to go from fine to gross. So stick on to the gross; it will take you to the fine. And I don't know what happened that day. This words are so clear in my mind that from gross to fine, gross to fine, gross to fine. And as we were practicing, we would move our hand, and then it would just move something inside.
राजीव
And I
आपकी
knew that it
आवाज
was,
क्लियर नहीं है, लोग बोल रहे हैं आपकी आवाज
is,
क्लियर नहीं है.
okay,
जरा प्लीज थोड़ा
voice is
सा.
not clear enough or loud enough. Yeah, I'll just let me check. Is it clear enough now?
Guys, can you please put in the chat whether it's clear enough now?
Yeah, so that I know. Otherwise, I can get onto just the mic. I don't need the earphones. So if at all there are no, otherwise I'll do one thing. I'll
Yes,
just get
it's
on
clear. Yes, it's clear. Yes, it's
Is
clear.
it clear enough?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So my teacher said something like this, and from gross to the fine. So it just stuck to me that when we are doing the Tai Chi movements very slowly, it is like we move the body, and something happens in the mind. And that's something that stuck in my head. And somewhere in 2000, 2001, I was attending my counseling workshop, counseling and health psychology. I was learning from one of the best, that is Father Berkey, who's no more now. And 6 months down the line, I suddenly started losing interest in my work, homeopathy. I said, there's something more than homeopathy that I'm supposed to do. And then came in, I want to do something about where I could support people in by touch and communication. And that's where the whole transformation started happening. And a lot of things happened. I went into major anxiety and panic attack because I just stopped having interest in my work, and also suffering from irritable bowel syndrome, which was told to be incurable. And then the whole story started. I used to wake up at night, cry at night, because there was so much of panic inside, and I wouldn't know why it's happening. And this went on for almost 2 to 3 years. I would just wake up from 2:30 to 4:30, keep crying, keep crying, keep crying. But there was one thing that happened, was I started staying with my body instead of taking any medicines, because I was not too much about medicine person. I just started watching what's happening inside me. And as I kept watching, it started happening that I started noticing that something changed inside me as I kept observing what's happening inside me. And that was the time I came up with a statement in my head that if I can be with my body for a long time, anything can change. And that's what is the beginning of what I'm going to share with you, the core somatic integration therapy. The core somatic integration therapy. How do you connect to your essence? How do you connect to insides of you? By going through the body, just connecting to the body. And when the body and the core is in alignment, your life starts falling in place. When your physical body, the soma, the somatic, and the core, the essence of what you are, when they are in alignment, then your life starts falling in place. Possibility that you'll be cured of any disease. So I created this, I'll share the screen with you. Yeah, and I'm just made a small intro called how do you cure yourself of any disease? Yeah. How do you cure yourself? Here it is about heal yourself, heal your disease by listening to your body. Yeah. I've been doing the various intros. So I'll just share this with you. Yeah. And in that process, we are going to talk about trauma. We're going to talk about how trauma happens and how trauma actually impacts you and how it actually creates a breakdown in your relationships, a breakdown in your health, creating the kind of diseases that we are talking about, which most of them talk about being incurable. But I say it's not incurable. It is curable, provided you follow certain protocols, you follow certain principles. And if you can do that, there is a possibility. What we hear is miracles, like cancer getting cured, paralysis getting cured, migraines getting. I wouldn't call them miracles. There's a particular way to go about. If you can go about that way, I'm quite sure you can cure yourself of many diseases. I've had many diseases, people coming with many diseases like cancers. I have treated paralysis. I've treated migraines. I've treated PCODs. I've treated people of alcoholism, drug addictions, and relationship breakdowns is one area that I work on big time. Yeah, so there are many clients, many people who come in having major relationship breakdowns, even getting into the point verge of divorces. And then they come in and then we have a conversation, then we do a small session, and then there are people who've gone back and they're back again, having kids after that, or staying there together for even after 6 years, 8 years. And that's how it is. And there are so many of them who just say, now there's a possibility that whenever we have a quarrel, we just remember what was spoken, or there's something that happened inside, and we just say, okay, let's give ourselves 5 more minutes. And after that, we'll talk. And suddenly there's a whole change happening, and we have stopped fighting. There's something changed after that, and everything is seeming to fall in place. So that's the kind of work that can be done once you start understanding your own self through your body, because the reality is the body. The reality is the body. And if you can understand your body very well, what it's actually talking to you, what it's actually trying to say to you, I can guarantee you can resolve any kind of issue that you're suffering from, or any kind of issue that you're going. We are struggling with trying to understand concepts. We are trying to figure out what's happening and what's happening in my mind, what kind of thought, what kind of belief. Let me tell you, the body is speaking every damn thing. It is speaking everything. The problem is that we are not listening to the body. The problem is that we are not listening to the body. The body is constantly communicating to you, telling you what's happening, but we don't listen to the body. And what I share in my workshops is how do you listen to the body? What is that language it speaks? And if you can understand that language, and if you can know that language, then there's a large possibility that you will be able to heal, be it relationships, be it physical health, be it financial problems, be it business problems. So that's the kind of transformation that happens, because that's the true transformation. And not only that, your look, like I have seen jawbones shifting and changing their shapes just by the shift happening in there. I have seen trigger fingers opening up right in front of me like this within 1 hour, which has been there for 10 months of a physiotherapist of 30 years practice. But this was not opening up. But as soon as we did it, and it started opening up, and within 1 hour, it just opened up straight. And see, this has never happened. And it's been almost, what, 10 years that he's got it. He still comes and attends my workshops. He attended it twice. He's saying this completely a different story. Though I know I do it for people physically, but in 1 hour, how does that happen? And it can never happen. But there is a possibility, there's a large possibility, because there's something about your body, the body knows. And once you start understanding that language, you can actually move about creating anything for yourself. You can actually heal anything that you want, provided there are certain principles that you follow. Yeah, so I'll just share with you on the screen a PPT here. Yeah, and just Okay, and I'm quite sure that each one of you can see this PowerPoint, right? How to heal yourself by listening to your body, right?
Yes, we can
And
see it.
you can see,
Absolutely.
right? Yeah, great. And this is my organization, Dr. Rajiv's New Life Integrative Wellness Institute. I am a homeopath, and that's where I ended. And I am a new life educator and a integrative wellness facilitator. That's what I do. And then rest of it, I also train people in transactional analysis. That is one of the things that I have learned, that if you really want to understand yourself, this transactional analysis is one workshop that you got to take up. Yeah. And that is what I teach, because that actually tells you why you are the way you are, and why are you behaving the way you're behaving, where are these behaviors coming from. So all those things that are that is there. Yeah. And also rest of the things like gestalt, neuro linguistic programming. Yeah. And all that I used to train people in, and hypnotherapy, of course, past life regression hypnotherapy. Yeah. So this is what it is, and we'll go ahead. And how do you heal yourself? By listening to your own body. Yeah. So let's first understand what is trauma. So what is trauma? Basically, we keep talking about trauma as, okay, what is trauma? Trauma is that I went out in the, I was stuck in a traffic jam, or oh, I didn't get my, I got caught up in the rain, or I didn't get the train on proper time, and I didn't reach my office, and my boss was sitting on my head. That's not really traumatic. What we call as day-to-day, that's not traumatic. Yeah, because there's a possibility of you getting out, you can help yourself out, you can while away your time. Otherwise, what happens in a trauma, that's very, very important to understand. Trauma is not just an event, but trauma is an experience. Trauma is not an event, trauma is an experience that the body holds on to. And that can be anytime, right from your time when you're in your mother's womb, to the time when you're being born, to the time when you're growing up, to yesterday. Anything. It can be anything. Anything can be traumatic. But trauma is not an event. Trauma is something that happens in yourself going through that event. So it's an experience. And what happens in trauma, it's like a situation which is too threatening, which is like a crisis, where you feel helpless and powerless, you feel incapable of handling it. And that is how you feel traumatized. If you can do something about it, if you can manage it, then there is a possibility you will not get traumatized. Remember, just let me talk about this quickly about animals. Animals also, like we are all animals, yeah. Now, animals, whenever there's a threat, what happens to them? There's an instinctual response of fight, flight, and freeze, right? There is fight and flight. They either run away or they fight, they bite or whatever. But there's a third response that we generally don't know about, though it's out there in the open now. That is the freeze mechanism. They just cower down, yeah? They just freeze, like you've seen the rats. Yeah, when there's a cat out there just very close, they don't move. Or you're driving the car and there's a cat or an animal in front of you, and suddenly there's that flash of light in their eyes, they just stand there, they don't move. That is the freeze mechanism. There are healthy freeze mechanisms also. Yeah. So, but then if at all, and now what happens in animals is that, okay, now human beings also go through this freeze mechanism, right? The human beings also go through this freeze mechanism. They also go through a freeze, like kind of a child. When the child is growing up and the parent or someone uh, threatens the child, beats up the child, and the child is like, I want to run away, or I want to do something about it, I want to scream, I want to yell because I'm angry. But the child is told, don't dare talk. Or the child is put in the bathroom or thrown out of the house at night. I had someone who was speaking to me just few days. Well, I was thrown out of my house, and the whole night I was made to stay out by my mother. Now the person is like 40, 50 years old, but then the suffering was very bad because the person is still traumatized about it. Yeah. So then the behaviors come from there. So now what happens in animals, when animals get that experience, now that frozen energy gets stored in our body. So you must have seen the animals like dogs, when they are attacked by many dogs after they escape, they go and shake themselves out of that freeze mechanisms. Yeah, we see them shaking themselves out. As human beings also, we have these three mechanisms: the fight, flight, and the freeze mechanism. Now what happens in a fight? We fight, and either we run away, and there's a freeze. When you're in a situation you can't do anything, like for example, you're kidnapped, or some girl is held by a few people and now she can't do anything, and it's dark night and she doesn't know what happened. She's like just frozen. Yeah. Or the child is being beaten up by the parent and saying, okay, you're not supposed to move. Now the child is so dependent on the parent. I cannot leave the house, I cannot stay there, and every day there are fights happening or I'm getting beaten up. And the child goes into a freeze mechanism. And even when we grow up, you're in a marriage which is not working, or you're in a company and the boss is not so good person, and you are always feeling threatened, but you need to have that money, you need to have that relationship because you have children. Now you don't go out, but you're freezing every time. Yeah. Now with animals, they come and shake themselves off, but with human beings that doesn't happen. Human beings talk, and they keep talking about their problems, but that never gets resolved because the memory, the experience of the trauma is stored in the body. But they're not doing anything about the body. They're still trying to intellectualize it and treat it. Like I have someone calling me up just 2 hours back and she's saying, oh, I'm so anxious. And I don't know why I'm anxious. The why never answers anything. The question to ask is, what is happening when I'm anxious? But we are never trained in this. We are never trained in this. And that traumatic experience, it stays in our body even after 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. And I believe that's one of the reasons we are suffering of diseases after 20 years or 30 years. Like you might have suffered from something that happened in childhood, but you get a diabetes, or you get a paralysis, or you get a cancer after 30 years. That's because the traumatic experience stays there, and the traumatic experience is trying to express itself in the form of a symptom, in the form of any kind of symptom. It could be a health or it could be a disease. But if there is a traumatic experience, it will always be expressing itself in the form of a disease. If it is resolved, there will be health, because we all have gone through some of the other trauma, some big, some small. And that traumatic experience, if it is not healed, the body stays in that space as if it's happening now. And that will explain why there are certain people, even without reason, they panic, they get anxious. There's a sudden noise and they, oh, what happened? Oh, don't scream, don't speak loudly. Or when they're trapped in the traffic and they start heaving, or they have to meet up someone and they start having loss of breath, or so anything can happen. That's not because the situation is the problem. That's because the traumatic experience got triggered. So even without a reason, we say, oh, but there was no reason. I just said, when are you coming back? The wife says, I just asked him, when are you coming back? And he reacted so badly. He broke down all the things. And when you actually understand it, it could be something happened in childhood with his mother, who used to always ask him, when are you coming back? And they must have not been a great relationship. And that experience is still stored in the memory bank of the person. And the moment that that word comes in, there's a trigger. So the trauma stays in the body as if it is happening now. So though there is a possibility that many people say, but it happened 20 years back, why can't you forget it? The person may start think of forgetting, but the body always remembers. Until the time you don't heal it at the body level, you cannot heal it completely. So even if you're just sitting down and intellectualizing and saying, okay, I have released it, okay, I'm letting it go, it doesn't work. Intellectualization doesn't work. In fact, it adds to the problem. Yeah, so when I'm teaching them, so there's something called flight from experience, or flight from the traumatic experience. Intellectualization is one of the ways. Justification is another. Giving lot of explanation. Oh, you know why I did it, giving excuses. They're all ways of not wanting to be with the experience of the trauma. And that's why I say, even when husbands and wives, they keep fighting for 20 years, 30 years. They never seem to resolve their problem because they're not connecting to the personal traumatic experience. They are struggling with it. And then there's something called projection. They project it on the spouse and then they spoil the relationship. They think the spouse is doing it to them. No, it is the childhood experience that has got triggered off in the current state. Are we all together on this?
Is everybody getting it, guys?
Yes, yes, yes.
Wonderful. Yes, yes, yes.
Great. So if you're getting it and you feel yes, yes, so just write I am or put a hands up, thumbs up. Bharti, yeah, thanks. Yes, 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 yes. Please, sir. Oh, a bit louder. Japana, hi. Leena, hi. Poonam, hi. Okay. Ruchika, Raksha, okay, please. Okay, great. Now you can hear me? Leena, can you hear me? Okay, okay, Krishna. Okay, great. Okay. So are we all together now? So did you know that the body is also always communicating and you're not listening to it? So we start listening to the body, and that is what I teach, how to listen to the body. So there are a lot of people, like a lot of testimonials are there, like when I do the workshop, like there could be one or two people over here also who would be willing to give a testimonial if I ask them. I don't know who all are there. Jayashree, okay. So I want you all to go through a small exercise. Are we ready? To understand how the body
Yes.
actually. Ready?
Yes.
Okay, great, awesome. So I want you to gently close your eyes and sit back. I'll just take you through a very quick exercise, yeah? So gently close your eyes, sit back, relax, pay attention to your breath. And slowly connect, going back in time to one memory that was not very good. One memory that wasn't very good. It could be any age, anything from yesterday to childhood. And now, just replay that memory. Take a small one. Yeah, it could be not very nasty also. It could be anything, but which has, and notice what is the emotion that you experience. Is it hurt? Is it anger, fear, sadness? Anger, fear, sadness, frustration, whatever you think of the emotion. And observe, where do you feel this in your body? Observe, where do you feel it in your body? Do not analyze. Give it a shape, size, color, whatever you see. Yeah, and now, whenever you feel comfortable, you just shake yourself, move yourself, and slowly open your eyes. Okay, so who'd like to share? Very quickly, just write it on the chat, or you can just shout out.
I can share, no problem.
Please go ahead. Just
So,
whatever you felt.
yeah. So I saw my dad when I was about my 14th birthday. He slapped me very tight on my face. And that was
Hmm.
because I hadn't finished my studies and I'd asked him to teach me. So I could feel actually the numb on my face, and I could actually feel the numbness that
Hmm.
both my ears would have felt and my face would have felt.
Hmm.
Yeah, thank you.
And what was the emotion that you felt?
It was actually numbness. I just went numb. I couldn't believe that I'd actually gone to him to ask to solve my problem of maths, and
Like
this is
a
what I
shock.
got. I was shocked. I
Yeah.
was confused, I would say.
And you still have the sadness about it.
I would say yes. If I don't do well, I mean, I got transported back. If I don't do well, I probably can visualize how mad and disappointed he was. And he
Yeah.
expected me to know the portion that I didn't have to remember. So it's quite interesting how that brought up a lot of things. Yeah.
And not only that, Anu, there's something that was so interesting when you were speaking, like why I said the sadness. Because when you said that slap and the numbness, I don't know whether you noticed, but this voice suddenly went slightly different where
Yeah.
I was catching that sadness.
Yes.
Are you getting it?
Yeah.
So that is how the body holds on to it. Like we have five states, five warning signals. So one of the warning signals is the speech. So, and there are various things about the speech. If you can understand, then we can catch on that and just enter the person's world, which they don't are not aware of. So one of them is this that the verbals and the non-verbals. Yeah. So that is what. Yeah. So there is, and Anu is feeling it as if it's happening like now, and I'm quite sure many of her day-to-day life attributes or things that she does has got shaped after that, right, Anu?
I didn't think of it, but if I look back now, yes, I wouldn't want to disappoint people in authority.
Yes, right. And nothing right or wrong about it. You are successful, but there's a part of it which is still there. Yeah, and maybe you have resolved it also. Yeah, you must have resolved it. So that is how it is. Okay. So that's quite good. Thanks a lot, Anu, for sharing first. Yeah. And Lena writes, I also went back to the time when I was 14 and my father was very angry with me and wouldn't talk or eat on the dining table. So I had to eat my meals in the kitchen for months. And that must have been really painful, right? So, and then that is just a memory. Also, I want, it was stuck in my heart. So notice, where is that sadness, Lena? Where do you feel it? And I'm yeah, sadness, yes. It's stuck in my heart. So now with this, I felt anger, hurt in heart and gut, and saw orange ball of light flashing in front of my eyes. Yeah, it was too new to me to experience this. Okay, great. Just 5 days after my marriage, okay, this is someone else, okay. Just 5 days after my marriage, my mother-in-law said something hurtful to me, and my husband took her side. It was too new to me to experience this. I felt anger hurt in my heart and gut, and saw orange ball of light flashing in front of my eyes. So if you notice, thanks for that, Raksha. So if you notice, we have so much of experiences stored in our body, yeah, and we are trying to resolve it through our mind. And it is almost like I have a dead rat in my bedroom, and I'm trying to clean up the kitchen or the front room to clear up the stink that is coming from the bedroom. Are we together on this? So you're trying to clear up some other room, hoping that the smell from this room vanishes. It will never happen. You have to go where it has got stored, or wherever it is there. So here what we do is that we actually go to the root cause of the disease. Pick up that rat, pull it out, throw it out, clean up the place. And once you cleaned up, the smell is not there. And that's how you can actually clear up your diseases. You can clear up your financial issues. You can clear up your relationships. You got to go back to that point. You cannot. Yes, one thing that happens is that it keeps giving you indications in the here and now. That's the most beautiful part. It tells you there's a problem out there which happened maybe 30 years back, which you're not even aware of, but it keeps giving you the symptoms now. And that symptom can be in the form of a disease or some discomfort, or it can be form of a crack in the relationship, or a breakdown in your financial condition, or some discomfort, some unhappiness. So that is exactly where we got to look at. And doesn't matter what kind of problem it is, you can just go back and resolve it. So there is someone writing, okay, Raksha writes it's 25 years back, and you see it's I can as if मतलब वो तवा अभी भी गर्म है ऐसा लग रहा है. Are you getting me? It's there, it's boiling out there. It never goes away, because if it's a traumatic thing, you don't resolve it, it stays there and it keeps talking to you. So there is one Archana who writes, I was beaten up by my dad due to misunderstanding at the age of 13. I felt it in my breathing. And you felt it now, Archana, right? And that is how everything gets stuck. Yeah. And I'm quite sure Anu knows a lot about this because she works with MetaHealth, right? Anu?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is the core of everything that we do.
It's the core of everything. So that's one of the reasons we have been able to do a lot of good work with people. That's because it goes right where the issue is. So for me, so this is how it is. Yeah. So Archana feels it is breathing right now. Yeah. So that is how it is. So what we are doing over here. So I have this small model, which like in generally we talk about the mind. We talk about thought, emotion, energy, and behavior. Okay. So I have my model where I say thought, emotion, sensation, behavior, and the result. So results are not just caused by it's not just caused out of nothing. There is something and it creates something. There's something and it creates something. So it's very important to know where did it all start. Like I had this person come to me. I showed that in the video in my workshop. So this guy came with he was driving and suddenly his left leg went numb, like paralyzed, and he couldn't do anything. He just somehow put the brakes on the car, stopped the car. He walked down, but after that he was limping. 20-year-old guy. So now this guy was taken to all the doctors, and they did all the tests and all his brain and everything. Everything came normal, and then taken to psychiatrist. Psychiatrist prescribed his medicine, and the mother said, "No, I don't want to take him to the psychiatrist and the medicine. Let me take him to Rajiv," and that's how they landed me. And this is like surprising. Here we sit and talks about how last few months, 3 4 months back, something happened in his life, some relationship breakdown and all that, and he's going through pain. He's been drinking every day. and all those things. And after that, I said, okay, connect to your body and see what happens. And he started connecting to his body, and then he saw a lot of anger coming because there's no closure and all that. And 20 minutes after that, this person who couldn't even lift his leg half a feet above the ground was able to lift it with ease, almost 1 foot above the ground. Then I said, okay. And he was doing it with ease. Earlier, it was so much of effort. You can see it in the video. And then he comes back. I called him after 5 days. And this guy comes in. His mother says, as soon as we went home, the first thing he did was do his walking stick. And that day, night, 11 o'clock, we went out with his friends to have an ice cream without the walking stick. Fifth day, he comes in. He comes without a walking stick. He walks on his own, and he doesn't have to take any support or anything. 20 days later, I call him again, and he says, it's just fantastic because it just completely cured me of the disease. And we have done only one session. And the same thing happened with someone who had cancer. I did 6 sessions, and it has shown the result. Someone who was so weak, she couldn't move. And in 6 sessions, his cancer was uh, showing changes on the reports. Same thing with someone who had PCOS and was not interested in a marriage at the age of 21, 22, not interested in marriage, 22, 23, yeah, not interested in marriage at all, and nothing to do with family because she had a lot of anger towards her family, her mother. And we worked on that. Through the PCOS, we started working, found out that there was a lot of anger towards the mother, just through the body. And then this lady comes in after the second or third session. She says, oh, I think I'm getting interested in a relationship. And some guy came to meet her. They got married. Today they have twins. Children are almost 7, 8 years, 5, 6 years old. And so whatever we think that PCOS and PCODs are not curable, let me tell you, they are very much curable. They're very much curable. Yeah. And there's so many of them. So this is the kind of work that can happen when you are actually working to the body, when you're connecting to the body. You're connecting to the language, understanding the language of the body, because the body has the power to heal itself. The body has the power to heal itself. What we are lacking is an ability to communicate to the body such that it can heal itself. The body has the power to heal itself. What we are lacking is the ability to communicate to the body such that it can heal itself. So we got to learn the ability, the communication. And you will be amazed that how just by observing what's happening in your body, you suddenly seem to be getting out of the problem, out of the diseases. Not only that, I've seen many of them becoming very, very responsible about their lives, becoming very, very committed about their lives. And not only that, they are able to deal with relationship issues and all that. So this is one of the things that we are able to see, right? So, and we are able to tap into the innate potential, healing potential. Remember, your body has the power to heal anything. Anything. That's why we hear in COVID also, there are people who sing, okay, play music, it can be healed. You take this kara, it can be healed. You just meditate, it can be healed. You listen to this mantra, it can be healed. They are all invoke the power of the body, the potential of the body, which unfortunately the medical profession doesn't want to look at, because any lack of knowledge is like turning blind eye to that. Yeah. So for them, not saying that they are wrong or something, but the knowledge is lacking because they are looking at what is the disease in a physical format, but it is not the disease in physical format. It's the disease in the non-physical format, the intangible format, the traumatic experience that pulls down your immunity. And once you're able to raise the immunity, and it doesn't matter what kind of diseases are there. You read so many books of people meeting with accidents, breaking their ribs, and given up for dead, and but still they are able to come out of the ailment and restart their life and actually become successful in their lives. How do they manage that? It's all possible through this experience of reconnecting to your bodily experience. Yeah, Teji Seti is this quantum physics principle. It applies, yes, Vipassana, yes, you can talk about that, but the intention of both Vipassana and core somatic integration slightly differs. Yeah, yeah. And Leena Tharani, I had COVID and did energy healing and mantras and affirmations and got well in 3 days. Great, great, Leena. Thanks for that. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Anyone would like to ask a question?
So
Anu, can
guys,
we take
let's
this up?
open the forum for questions right now for both the speakers.
Yeah.
So we have questions for both the speakers.
Hi Rajiv, this is Teji.